Oh man,
Mr. Plan Marcus.
Big Sean,
How's Drake?
what is up? What are we doing today?
What are we doing today? Well, first of all, what's up? Bitcoin's price is up. What are we doing today? We are going to watch a video of Charles Hoskinson or Hoskinson, whatever his name is. We're going to break it down, how he's lying. Then we're going to watch another video from Kal Kassa and talk about how Cardano sucks and ruined its image in Ethiopia. And then we'll talk about how Bitcoin's good. So before we get started, even though we've already started, welcome everybody to Bitcoiner's Guide, the show that we wish we would have had when we first started learning about Bitcoin. So we made it for you. Remember, no altcoins. Every altcoin scam, more or less, is a scam, or it's an ignorant thing that they think is going to be better than Bitcoin. It's not. Time stamp it, price stamp. Today is Monday, July 18th, 4:46 p.m. in the Mountain Standard Time, and Bitcoin's price is 21,600 and some change, up 3.21% in the last 24 hours. So Marcus, should we get into this, or should we talk a little bit more? I'm jacked. I'm
ready.
Tits.
I'm ready. I'm jacked to the tits.
I'm jacked to the tits. Okay, here we go.
No guest today. So let's slay some shit corners.
Yep, deal. Okay, this is Charles Hoskinson, the creator of Cardano, otherwise known as ADA, big time scammer. Here we go. We're gonna break this down. We might pause it. Marcus, if you want to say something, jump in. Just tell me to pause it, and we'll go.
What are your thoughts on Saylor claiming Cardano as a security? Well, Mike Saylor is the Tone Vase of this cycle of, him and Jimmy Song of this cycle of crypto. So back in the day, we had Tone, and
shout out to Tone Vase
podcast. He's still around, and I like Tone, but he had this thing, it's like everything's a scam. It's a scam. It's a scam. Oh, it's a scam. Oh my God, it's a scam. Everybody's scamming. He even had this thing called the Scammies. It was his awards ceremony, the Scammies.
I bet Hoskinson probably got one of those scammies. That's why he's all butthurt. He should get a scammy now. Okay.
So now
definitely applying for one.
Oh yeah. He's applying for one.
Bitcoin is the way. Again, it doesn't do anything for RealFi. I can't build a decentralized power grid.
So now he's talking about Bitcoin. He said it doesn't do anything for RealFi. I don't even know what RealFi is. First of all, was RealFi or real life? RealFi.
Decentralized power grid.
He says with Bitcoin, you can't build a decentralized power grid. So he's talking about the mining. Mining is not decentralized in his mind, even though it's all over the world. Like what happened in China last summer when China banned mining, and nothing skipped a beat. The miners went offline in China and went online in other countries, and the hash power moved somewhere else. So do you need a decentralized power grid, or do you just need a network decentralized of miners? That seems pretty decentralized to me.
I can't build centralized telecommunications company.
Centralized tokens communications company. Do you even know what that is, Marcus?
No, I could barely hear him, to be honest.
Centralized communications tokens company.
Centralized power grid. I can't build a centralized telecommunications company.
Decentralized tokens communications company.
Didn't he just say a decentralized telecommunications company?
Oh, is that what he's saying?
I believe so, yeah.
Maybe that's what he's telling. Oh yeah, he speaks a little funny.
Centralized telecommunications company.
Oh yeah, dude, you understand English better than I do. Decentralized telecommunications company.
Yeah, think about it. Does that actually exist?
So he's saying you need to have a decentralized, decentralized phone and internet.
Like a decentralized WhatsApp, and then you can do like voice over IP, but decentralized, do it over the blockchain.
In case the internet gets shut down worldwide.
It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge. You know, that's the thing. You know, like people are like, hey, that sounds pretty like a good idea. If you can do that and like nobody's controlling it and it's all encrypted, then yeah, I want to use that decentralized telecommunications company.
Well, that's the thing is like Bitcoin is made for basically a nuclear fallout, and it will survive a nuclear fallout if it ever happens. But it's like the argument when people say Bitcoin's going to be so good that the government's going to ban it. That's why it won't work. And it's like, well, Bitcoin's going to be so good that the internet's going to shut it off. There's going to be a few internet companies, they're just going to shut it off. Well, you can't shut off Bitcoin unless you shut off the internet. So the internet companies would have to the telecommunication companies would have to, in effect, shut themselves off to shut off Bitcoin.
But I think what he's saying is that he's claiming that on Cardano, you can create these decentralized telecommunications companies.
Which is not true.
Well, like, think about it, right? Like, if you want to do like telecommunications over a blockchain, and you know, like, how does a blockchain work, right? In Bitcoin, it's 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You bundle up the information. In Bitcoin's case, you know, it's like, okay, the different transactions. But if you have if you're doing telecommunications, you need like real-time data to shoot across, right? Yes. So who's gonna host all that stuff decentralized? That means that if you want it to be decentralized, like Bitcoin, everybody needs to run a node at home, or at least enough people. You know, it needs to be decentralized enough for people to run. But Bitcoin made sure that that node doesn't get too big. You know, just like a 1 terabyte hard drive. You know, I don't know what the Bitcoin block size or blockchain size is now. Isn't it like around 400 gigabytes or something? So yes, it remains very small, and it's not going to get super huge. But if you're going to do like a decentralized telecommunications company,
yes,
I don't know what kind of like specs you would need to run a node on that baby, but it's going to be so huge, it doesn't make sense. It's always going to end up being centralized, right? Because because you need huge nodes, and there's not going to be a lot of people to run that. So in the end, it'll be like Charles Hoskinson's Cardano company that's going to be like running these nodes, and controlling what the software does and what kind of updates it's going to get. So it's going to be highly centralized. But yeah,
like the same thing with Bitcoin Cash, right? Bigger block size, no one can run a node, so there's very few nodes, which means they say it's decentralized, but it's actually centralized. Okay, let's keep going.
I can't build a decentralized computer. I have no idea.
Can't build a decentralized computer. So in his mind, you have to have a decentralized computer. He just doesn't realize that you can air gap. You can do so many different things with Bitcoin. You can run on Tor. Like, you don't need to have a decentralized computer. My computer is not gonna stop me from a Bitcoin transaction. It's not going to know. It's just going to run. The internet's just going to run. So as long as you're in a place that has internet, which we would assume that's how the world will continue to go. If the internet stops, then money won't be an issue of ours. There's going to be a lot bigger issues that you're going to have if the internet stops working.
Identity solution. It's not programmable. So
it's not programmable. Like, the buzzwords are at an all-time high in the altcoin sphere. It's like programmable, decentralized. They think that everything's decentralized, faster, lighter, you know, all these things.
I don't have dApps and DeFi.
Dude, we're never gonna get through this video. This guy is such, you know, like, that's the whole problem with like this Cardano types. You know, it plays into the minds of like, oh my God, the blockchain has these features. It's decentralized. You know, there's no central authority controlling it, and I understand Bitcoin. It's like, yeah, it's a store of value, but it's, you know, it's like old tech and you can't really do much anything else with it. But, you know, like if we can use blockchain, we can use it to build decentralized finance, decentralized telecommunication companies, and decentralized apps. We call them dApps. You know, we're gonna have like a Facebook, but then on the blockchain, and like that's really, it speaks because people don't really understand like the intricacies of like how difficult it is to actually achieve decentralization.
Yes.
And the limitations Satoshi actually put on Bitcoin to actually ensure that it would be fully decentralized, you know, and having all kinds. But so yeah, he's painting this world of like this future that everybody can get excited about. You know, there's a lot of enthusiastic people that are interested in tech, but because most people haven't really taken the time yet to really understand like the engineering behind Bitcoin, first of all, that's where you should start, to then understand why the engineering behind the kind of things he's talking about makes no sense whatsoever. You know, he's talking about putting agriculture on the blockchain. He's talking about like digital IDs and telecommunication companies. Come on, like anything. Yeah, if you can think of it, Cardano can do it, right? Well, let's just. But that's the big lie right there. But it works because it triggers people's imaginations, and they're like, wow, yeah, that could really be something. That's super interesting. Let me just buy some Cardano. And then he's got what he wanted.
Well, and something that Jimmy Song brought up was you have the maxis that are like, look, Bitcoin is the thing of substance. These other things, the founders like Charles Hoskinson are lying to you and telling you lies, and he's scamming you. And then they hear Charles Hoskinson and he says what he says. So then people go, well, the truth's probably somewhere in the middle. So I'll buy Bitcoin and I'll buy Cardano. And that's the wrong assumption. Like he was equating it to flat earthers. He was saying, it's like saying, oh, you know, I think that the earth is round, but there's these flat earthers and they might have an idea. So I'm going to hedge my bet. And I'm going to say that they're 50% right as well. So it's like, why? Like, there's no reason to hedge your bet with liars and scammers like this. So
I agree. And we're going to get into like even more into why he really is a scammer. So let's get going.
Yeah.
I can't even issue an asset, so I have no NFTs, right? It's all outside of that. But don't worry, layer 2 protocols that are highly centralized will somehow solve all of this. Great. So that's great. It's the best thing ever, and it's so magical, and who cares about the mining and all this? Everything else is scam, and everything else is security.
Yes.
Nobody controls it. It's completely decentralized.
He's talking about Cardano now. He says no one controls Cardano. It's completely decentralized.
Far more than Bitcoin. Has more use and utility. People buy the token not to speculate, which is the only thing they can do with Bitcoin. They buy the token to use it for stuff. I don't know, medical.
They buy it to use it for stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
They use it for
medical.
I don't know. They buy it for stuff to use. I don't know. Like, I don't know what they use it for. Medical records. Who is using Cardano? Who's ever used Cardano for medical records? Nobody has used Cardano for medical records. They use it purely to speculate on price. And people buy Bitcoin to speculate on price too. That happens. It's probably the majority. But you should be using it as a store of value, long-term savings, because you have a hyperinflating fiat currency, no matter what current country you live in.
How much did he pre-mine? How much Cardano did he pre-mine?
No clue. Probably a lot. We should have looked that up.
Medical records and whatever the hell else they're doing because it is real life utility. That's a security, but the thing that only thing you can do is speculate on is not. I think Mike's head is all fucked up and screwed up. It's just one of those cases where he's dick deep full dick in with Bitcoin. And so, it's got to work. If it doesn't work the way he hopes, he goes bankrupt. So I don't pay much attention to it. And I don't think it's a productive conversation at all. And frankly, the most difficult, toxic, and useless people to engage with are Bitcoin maximalists. They're not intellectually honest. Like,
the most toxic people are the ones that are smiling to you, to your face, and then lying, but they lied to you, and they're robbing you and stealing from you and scamming from you. Those are the most toxic people. The people that tell you you're on a sinking ship, and you're on a sinking ship and they're yelling at you to get on a life raft, are not toxic. They're just telling you the reality of the situation. That's all Bitcoin maximalists are. We're telling you we're telling you the inconvenient truth, whether you like to hear it or not. And people get mad at that because basically everyone's about the feelings nowadays. Oh, you got to tell me in a soft way, in a nice way. Dude, screw that. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth how it is. And I'm going to tell you the reality, regardless of your feelings about reality, because reality doesn't care whether you believe in reality or not. It'll still happen. And the people who lie to you and tell you some convenient lie, like this guy, like the scammer, those are the people who are toxic because they're stealing from you. When is a Bitcoin maximalist, a true Bitcoiner, ever stolen from somebody? Never. You won't see a true Bitcoiner stealing from someone. They're going to tell them the truth. If they are stealing, that's not a Bitcoiner.
And they'll say they're not stealing from you because they say we're building new technology and people can invest in this stuff. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, they lose their money, and people know that. But the problem is that like a lot of Bitcoiners are like engineers. I hate to say it, but it's like we look into like how it is built and what's backing it. And the whole concept of taking out proof of work.
Yes.
And then using like a blockchain, which you might as well, to run like a database through proof of stake, like, and then to promise that you're going to like do music on it and do telecommunications and stuff. It's just the biggest BS, it's like, might as well be some other company says we're building a website and we're going to be like the new music distributors, they're like, but because there's this word blockchain and decentralized, people think like, oh yeah, this is all new tech and this is going to change the world because look at Bitcoin and stuff. Yeah, it works for Bitcoin, but I mean, we've seen like hundreds of thousands of tokens all trying to do something. It's just, I'm sorry. I'm not really coming out of my words great today.
I think
it's just so frustrating, dude. Like, I honestly feel like it's like that spammy commercial on YouTube. Like, send me one Bitcoin and I'll send you 2 back. Everybody knows it's a clear scam. Don't do it. That's how I look at Charles Hoskinson and his Cardano project. Just stay away from it. If you're seriously looking at it, then like start with the freaking Bitcoin white paper. Seriously, go back to school. Yes. Stop. Read a little bit, study a little bit about what proof of work means and why you cannot put agriculture on a freaking blockchain. Come on.
And proof of stake, by definition, is centralized because there's going to be people who have more access to more funds, and they're going to control the whole protocol. So by definition, proof of stake is centralized. And like guys like this, like Charles Hoskinson, these guys are expert scammers. I mean, the words that he's using, how he's saying things, he's using the best buzzwords in the industry. He's hating on Tone Vays and Jimmy Song and Michael Saylor. And then he's saying that Cardano is more decentralized than Bitcoin without saying how. He's just putting that out there. Then he's calling
all marketing. Snake oil salesman.
Snake oil, so yes. Then he's
all
saying
vaporware.
Then he's saying that the Bitcoin maximalists are toxic. It's these type of things, and then you get other people that say, "Oh, you guys should be nicer to the altcoiners." Dude, why am I gonna be nice to a guy who's calling me toxic? Like, why, when I'm out here calling out scams. The only people that I would call myself quote unquote toxic to are the scammers. Yeah, I don't want to be nice to a scammer. I'm not gonna just let a scammer do whatever he wants to do. I'm gonna call out a scam because no one else is calling out a scam. That's what we have to do. That no one else is doing.
In different cities in Europe, you'll find like people on the road. I don't know what the English name is, but they'll have like this ball and 3 cups, you know, and then you put in money, and then he like goes and he makes it look really easy, and somebody wins some money, and then you go play and then you lose money. You're like, what the hell happened, right? He's a scammer. He knows exactly what he's doing. The first person who bought it was one of his cousins, you know?
One of his buddies, yes.
Yeah. And all these people form around, watch like, oh, somebody's going to play. Let me watch him lose the money. And they're like, hey, that person didn't lose money, and the other person didn't lose money. And then like some green noob is like, oh, look, I can beat it, right?
Yep.
And that's the target, you know, and that's the only one really getting fleeced at that point. And when you confront them with this, right, if you go like undercover with a video and you confront them with the video, they're like, no, I'm not cheating, and they'll lash out, you know, just like he's doing right now towards Sailor and stuff, and he'll like go on the offense and attack the people who are threatening him. That's what we're watching here. That kind of behavior.
Honestly, if I was Charles Hoskinson, if I was Vitalik Buterin, I would be scared of going to jail. That's what I would be scared of.
For real.
These scams are going to be made apparent eventually. So enjoy your money now while you have it, because once people realize how big of a scammer you are and how much money you fleece people for billions of dollars, you're going to go to jail. Like that's that. And so he has to push this type of stuff out there because he doesn't want to go to jail in the long run. Like he's putting himself up for some big time crimes, big time scams. And
I want to get to that Kal Kassa video, because that to me is like really exposes him.
Yeah, let's go there. Okay, can you see this?
I'm going to hijack the mic just quickly, and this might be controversial. What is your issue with Cardano?
Stand up for this. Bro, be careful, Just letting you know, over here, be careful.
Oh, I will not be careful.
Yeah.
My man, Sam. No,
He's toxic. He must be toxic.
Well, let me tell you all the things I love about Cardano. There aren't much, but you know, they've put Ethiopia into the spotlight. They've come here, they've talked about blockchain, and they've made the initiative to meet with Ministry of Technology, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Peace, Ministry of Finance. And they come here on a 6-month basis. They've been here since 2018. My problem with Cardano, I think from an Ethiopian sense, is all of the advantage that they've been given as a tech company hasn't been done through the correct procurement process. I worked as an advisor for 8 years. I've submitted 50 proposals a year. I've looked at 200 proposals a year for 8 years, right? So my job was to work with the government and support them through services and go through the procurement process. So procurement law states anything above, I think it's $1 million of activities needs to go through a tendering process. Bidders መኖር አለበት ዋጋ ተከፍቶ technical proposal ተከፍቶ legal due diligence ተሰርቶ ወደ ስራ ይገባሉ. Cardano never did any of that. They never passed through. I never saw a proposal. It seems as though they came in through a handshake agreement, an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. Their first promise was to digitize agriculture. And then they're like,
digitize agriculture.
They wanted to put a banana on the blockchain. That was their first thing. First of all, too, so they came to Ethiopia, according to Kal Kassa, which I have no reason to not believe him, because anyone else out there could have called him out if he was lying. In Ethiopia, they came there as cantillionaires, right? They came in with an MOU, handshake agreement. They didn't go through the normal procurement process, is exactly what he said. They basically got bumped up to the top, because of their name being Cardano. So is that fixing the system, or is that just recreating the old system of the Cantillon effect, right? Like that's what they want to be. They want to be at the top of the funnel of the Cantillon effect.
It's a little hard, so they gave that up. And then their second was, let's do some sort of census or digital identity cards on the Cardano blockchain. So this is where I start getting angry. Because one, you don't need a blockchain for that. Microsoft has a product called ION. It works perfectly for digital IDs. But was Microsoft allowed to compete on the tender? No.
Another thing, this is like what we were talking about. It's Cardano.
Imagine you're coming in saying that we're going to put something like agricultural digitally on a blockchain. Yes. And then being like, oh, it's not working out. Now let's do something with digital IDs. Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, they just jump from, and this is the thing with, and this is not Cardano specific. This is every altcoin. They jump from one narrative or one saying to the next. And like that's what Ethereum does, right? They had the difficulty time bomb that they were going to have to switch to proof of stake, and they just keep pushing it back. Or they were the world, they were oil, right? They were the oil of the world. Then they were gas. Oh, we use gas. Then we're the world computer. That's what they said. Oh, we're the world computer. And then
ultrasound money.
Ultrasound money. So it's like they keep saying that there's something else. When this doesn't work out, well, we'll have a new narrative, a new marketing scheme to fleece in newcomers. And this is the same thing, right? But Cardano's doing this on a nation state stage where they're fleecing a whole country and telling them, we're going to put agriculture on a blockchain. Oh, no, that doesn't work. Okay, well, we're going to do digital ID on a blockchain. And then Kal Kassa's right there saying, look, you don't need to do that on a blockchain. Microsoft's got a project to do that. But we weren't even allowed to look at Microsoft's product because we already had Cardano. So this is the type of things that the scammers do, is they say, oh, it can't provide for NFTs. It can't do telecommunications networks, decentralized telecommunications networks. It's like the only thing that needs to be decentralized is your money. And that's why Bitcoin is amazing, is because Bitcoin is the asset on its own blockchain. It's not taking something from the real world and putting it on a blockchain. It's keeping the digital and keeping that on the blockchain.
All right, so they've made a promise to do digital IDs. Was there any payment for that? Not really. We never saw any money, right? It just seems kind of, oh, let's do it, right? Let's invest in it. But has there been any work towards that? No, because census is a very complicated problem in Ethiopia, right? So they have about a handful of staff, 3 or 4 in Ethiopia, more on the marketing side. Are they doing real data collection? No. I can prove this because a few months ago, the Ethiopian government stopped waiting for the technology output and did it themselves. ID.et. It's completely Ethiopian owned. Bashara, they're doing digital identity, an Ethiopian homegrown solution. So why am I mad at Cardano? They wasted our time. They came in 2018. Scoundress, there's been nothing that they've developed. There's been no deliverable. There's been no product. Now, when they talk to the international media, Ethiopia is a success story, right? We're on the blockchain, 5 million kids. You know, another problem I have with them. Let's just say we agreed that blockchain is good. Digital identity needs to be kept on a blockchain. Why the hell would we give the password access to an Australian company with partners in Germany and partners in Switzerland and a guy named Charles in Chicago or Colorado?
It's not decentralized. That's what he's saying right there. Like they're giving access to one guy.
Yeah, it's pretty painful to hear, you know, because that's what's going on. These guys will travel around the world and be like, listen, guys, your country is going to get left behind if you don't get along with like you know, this whole wave of innovation that's going on in the crypto space. And we're at Cardano, we're like we're leading blockchain after blah 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 blah. And let's do this, you know. And you're going to be an innovative country, and all they're after is that publicity. They don't have any solution. They don't have any products, but that publicity is everything for them, because then they use that to get international headlines, get a bunch of investors. It pumps the price. Yep. What does Mr. Cardano do? He dumps on them, sells the Cardano probably for more Bitcoin or dollars, so he can rinse and repeat. You know, so he can, now he has profit and he can do the same trick over again.
Yeah, like what's so,
and as long as people keep falling for this and buying this BS, yeah, then it's going to be around for a long time. But there's a lot of people that just have no clue, and they come in and they fall for this kind of stuff. So I guess that's what we're just trying to do. Be careful. Don't buy Cardano. Stick with Bitcoin.
Yeah. Okay, let's watch the rest of it. I think this last part's actually pretty important about this.
It makes no sense to me for them to be the stakeholders of this project. It's a very big project, and it can be corrupted, right? Because it's not decentralized. I think we can prove that. So my problem with them is, one, they wasted my time. In 2018, when they came here, if I had instead learned about Bitcoin and open source technology, one, from a price perspective, I would have got in Bitcoin a lot early, but that's fine. Two, what has happened in these past 4 years, right? We've had war of identity, right? And this was the company that was supposed to solve that. And they've done absolutely nothing. There's no deliverable. I keep asking. And so now it seems as though they're in it for the photos, the photo ops. Oh, Minister Kale Kale, well and good. They're in it for the price pump, right? They went from 60 to 80 to $1.20. Now I think they're at 90 cents a token. Does their
less than 50?
Yeah, less than 50 cents now.
Does their technology exist? I still have not seen any application. But again, in 6 months, ID.ET has already, gone ahead with their digitalized. So, I don't see Cardano as like this, that's my problem with them.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's boots on the ground right there. These snake oil salesmen will tell you they're like changing the world in Ethiopia, and this guy's calling them out. He's like, I've been there. We tried to work with them. They didn't deliver. They just wasted our time, and they're just in it for the photo ops. That's what we've been calling all the time. And by the way, I just went to Wikipedia,
yes.
And you go to Cardano. They still have this on there as well. They have all these things like, in 2019, the Ministry of Education of the country of Georgia signed a memorandum of understanding. Have we heard that before?
Yes.
With the Free University of Tbilisi to use Cardano and Atala to build a credential verification system for Georgia. And then I'm scrolling down a little bit. In 2018, they announced a partnership with the Ethiopian government to investigate ways to deploy Cardano in the country. Okay, deploy it in the country. In April 2021, IOHK, which I believe is Charles Hoskinson's whatever,
yes,
and the Ethiopia Ministry of Education announced plans to launch an identity and record-keeping system on Cardano for the country's 5 million students. So even though this guy has been calling them out, they're still using this as propaganda on their Wikipedia page.
That is the issue, right? All of these scammers, they'll tell you that they're doing all these things, that they're more decentralized than Bitcoin, that they're helping in all these certain causes. But in reality, they're just creating enemies across the whole world. A company like that, he's going to create enemies in Georgia, the Republic of Georgia. He's already created enemies in Ethiopia. Think about the people that are getting rug pulled on Cardano right now. And proof of stake just can't last because we've watched proof of stake. Proof of stake is exactly the system that we live in right now with fiat currencies around the world. There's a few that control the whole system, and those are the people that benefit from the Cantillon effect, and everyone else gets punished by the Cantillon effect. So it's amazing. It's just amazing how a guy can have so much hubris and such a big ego and sit there and lie to people straight to their faces and then call other people toxic while he's lying.
They are the worst, Sean. They are the worst. You know, like they're not only trying to trick people into buying vaporware, but they're going to like these countries that are like the weakest, some of the weakest countries in the world and some of the poorest population. And they're, you know, instead of helping them with an opportunity as in Bitcoin and providing them with like real education about, you know, about Bitcoin, these countries are flooded with like scammers like this Charles Hoskinson and Roger Ver and the likes, you know, and they're just getting fleeced. It pisses me off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very unfortunate, I meant. Sorry.
I know. Gosh. What are we gonna do with these scammers, dude? What are we gonna do with them?
They're going to be around until people take responsibility. Like we're literally living in a world where people just want, like they expect the government to like protect them from everything, right? So
what's crazy is you got guys like Ross Ulbricht and Snowden and Julian Assange that are in jail. And then you got these guys that like Vitalik and Hoskinson that are just openly scamming people left and right. They're creating a project and they say, oh, they're creating vaporware and they're saying it has more utility than Bitcoin. And like, they don't even understand what the word utility means. Like, there's no, like the utility in Bitcoin is that it's first of all, a store value. Second of all, it's becoming a medium of exchange. And then it'll eventually become a unit of account. But it is money, and it's the first time we've ever been able to save in a currency. We've never been able to save in a currency other than gold, and now it's gold, but gold on steroids. So this is Cardano shouldn't even be in the same conversation. NFTs, Ethereum, XRP.
And a lot of people, yeah, and imagine people saying, so yeah, I know all that, and I don't care about that because I just know it's going to pump again. And I just want to make more Bitcoin. Yeah, but do you like realize how massively unethical it is to like support this kind of like scams and, you know, like to provide him with more liquidity to go like scam some other country somewhere else that, you know, is now waiting for his for him to show up. I don't know. I just stay away from this kind of bullshit. And it's I don't know. What do you think, Sean? Like, how long is this? Because after 2017, you know, it was like the same thing, but then with like the ICOs and stuff, and they all went down, and it was like, okay, well, now people learned their lesson. It's not going to happen again. But like, it happened all over again. So, what do you think is going to happen in the future? Is it going to keep happening all over again, or are people going to like wise up, or is there going to be like more?
I think
is the government going to catch up and they're going to like put him in jail, or is something else going to happen?
There's a real possibility that Vitalik Buterin and Charles Hoskinson end up in jail one day. There's a serious possibility, first of all, that happens. Second of all, I think what happens in this next cycle is that Bitcoin maximalists get louder, and there will be people that call us even more toxic. As people understand why we're getting louder, I think it'll make sense to some, and to others, they're going to fall prey to these scammers with a smile. You don't want to fall prey to a scammer with a smile on his face. Like, sometimes you got to listen to what when the guy's yelling at you to get off the ship that's sinking, you got to understand what he's talking about. Like, don't always listen to the tone, but listen to the words of what someone's telling you. So
they're like spam that evolves, you know. It's like your inbox, you know, you use it to communicate with your friends, and you get an email every now and then all of a sudden, like, there's like this email from like this spammy company, and then it turns into 10 spams, and you can hardly find like your real emails in between anymore. That's like what this whole Bitcoin space and crypto space has turned into. It's a sea of spam.
There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise. We're trying to provide some signal. And look, we can provide noise sometimes too. Like we're not always we're some memers.
What are you talking about?
Like we're gonna have some noise, but you got to understand what we're doing sometimes just for fun, because this world can be a little crazy. You're gonna be that clown world, and we're in the middle of peak clown world. You gotta have some fun. You can't just be serious 24/7. Like you gotta have some fun and make fun of the situations that are at hand. And like,
yeah, of course.
And you gotta have a clear mind. I think this is what's really important. You know, like whatever you gotta do to have a clear mind. That's getting in nature, if that's talking to your family more, if that's, that's finding a way to have more joy and laughter in your life, whatever you got to do to find a clear mind is what you have to do. Eat healthier, lift weights, develop a relationship, a spiritual relationship, if that's something that you think is better for you, to do that. So whatever you have to do to develop a clear mind is so important, because the war right now is for your mind. And the propaganda is like the truth and the lie is off by like 1 degree. So the lie is 1 degree away from the truth. And it's extremely hard to tell what a lie is and what the truth is. You have to be ready for it. You have to develop your mind, and you have to make sure your mind is clear. So a lot of people, they end up making decisions that are incorrect decisions when their mind is unclear, and they stick in that decision forever because they made that decision and I'm going to stick with this, but they made it with an unclear mind and they won't change it. So that is what I think is very important, is making sure that your mind is clear. And because right now the whole war is for your mind. The propaganda, everything out there is trying to trick you. And yes, you can feel like you're going insane sometimes. That's okay. Like, get grounded again, get back into nature, get back up in the mountains or by the beach or whatever you got to do. Breathe in some fresh air, eat some real food, go get some exercise, drink a lot of water, and come back. You'll be all right. Don't let them screw with your mind.
Yeah, what you were saying about, like having fun, that is definitely true. And I completely enjoy Bitcoin Twitter for that, because it's one place where you can, see what's happening. You get to see these videos from Charles Hoskinson pop up, and then everybody falling over it again. And there's like infighting and people arguing with shitcoiners. There's a lot going on. It's a lot of fun, but most of all, I'm really excited about, like this experiment, which was Bitcoin in 2009. When Satoshi released it, it was like pretty much an experiment, right? But it worked, and it's still working today, and it's changing the world as we speak, right? And like, I guess even this Cardano is part of it, some kind of how in its wake, like there's so much stuff going on because of this protocol Satoshi released for us and left the project. And it's crazy to be alive and to just watch it all unfold real time and to speculate a little bit about where it's going to go, because honestly, nobody even knows, right? Like, we don't know how it's all going to play out or what route it's going to take. I mean, we're all pretty confident that, this works. It's a better system than fiat, but how it's all going to play out, and how are we going to get to eventually a hyper Bitcoinized world? And on what time frame, who knows? But I'm here for it, and I'm here for the good times, the bad times. It's been an incredible journey, and that's why we're here, man. That's why we're here. Two dudes talking about Bitcoin and Charles Hoskinson. Yeah, bring it.
I think that's good for today. Just a reminder, Pleb Music joins the Meme Factory podcast this Thursday, 7:30 p.m. live. Do not miss this episode.
And next week, we also have a special guest who is supposed to come on today, but we'll talk about that next week.
Yes, we're excited. It's going to be a good one. Also,
a massive memer that's been putting out a lot of great content and bringing the memes to another level. So I very much look forward to talking to that person.
Yes. And remember, what you see here what you hear here. When you leave here, don't just let it stay here. Please share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, shout out, give us some feedback. We want some more feedback. Let us know.
Make sure the comments are turned on, dude.
Dude, YouTube's been messing with our channel. I'll release a video and I'll have the comments turned on. As soon as I release it, the comments will be turned off. So I'll go back and I'll edit it. I'll turn the comments back on again. And I'll look at it again in an hour and the comments will be turned back off. So, and then I'll turn the comments back on, and sometimes they'll stay on forever, but then sometimes they'll get turned back off again. But I just can't, I promise I at least look 3 times. If the comments get turned off, I look 3 times. If the comments are on when I set the video free, then we're good. It won't get turned back off again. But if the comments, for some reason, there's some default setting I can't figure out, and I've Googled it like 30 times. And I've tried to.
Let's just do a shout out to the audience. If you know how to solve this problem,
yes,
then don't put it in the comments because they'll be turned off. But send Sean a DM on Twitter.
I promise I've tried to fix this at least 15 times. Tried to figure this out. And every time I get to a point, I go, there's no fixing this. And then I'm like, no, there's got to be a way. And then there's no fixing it. And then I just keep going back to it. So I don't know. I've kind of given up on it. Maybe YouTube, it just sucks, but it's whatever. Okay. Well, as for Bitcoiner's Guide, episode 22, that's 22 weeks in a row. It's pretty good. From Clan Marcus, Big Sean.
Peace.
Out.
Later.
Peace.